When pricing remodel work, it's essential to understand that material costs are only one component of the overall price. The figure you found likely represents only the cost of the materials required for the project. It does not encompass all the expenses associated with completing the remodel. To accurately price your work, you need to consider several key factors. Firstly, material costs. This includes the price of all materials you'll use, such as lumber, drywall, flooring, paint, fixtures, and any other items needed for the remodel. Secondly, labor costs. This covers the wages or salaries you'll pay to yourself and any other workers involved in the project. This should also account for any payroll taxes or workers' compensation insurance associated with the labor. Thirdly, overhead costs. These are the expenses required to run your business and include rent or mortgage payments for your office or shop space, utilities such as electricity, water, and gas, insurance including liability, workers' compensation, and vehicle insurance, vehicle expenses like fuel, maintenance, and repairs, office supplies such as paper, pens, and software, advertising and marketing costs to attract new clients, professional fees for accountants, lawyers, or consultants, and licenses and permits required to operate your business legally. Fourthly, profit. This is the amount of money you want to earn on the project and is essential to ensure your business remains sustainable. It's also important to add a buffer or contingency to your price to cover any unexpected costs or changes that may arise during the remodel. This buffer can help protect your profit margin and ensure that you don't lose money on the project. Let's delve into each of these factors in more detail. For material costs, it's wise to obtain quotes from multiple suppliers to ensure you're getting the best possible prices. Consider factors such as delivery fees and lead times when choosing your suppliers. When estimating labor costs, be realistic about the time it will take to complete each task. Break down the project into smaller tasks and estimate the time required for each one. Factor in your hourly rate, as well as the rates of any other workers you'll be employing. When calculating overhead costs, determine a percentage of your labor cost to allocate to overhead. This percentage will vary depending on the nature of your business and your specific expenses. Track your overhead expenses carefully to ensure that your percentage accurately reflects your actual costs. To determine your profit margin, consider the level of risk involved in the project. More complex or challenging projects may warrant a higher profit margin. Also, consider your desired income level and how much profit you need to generate to achieve your financial goals. A common practice is to apply a percentage to the total cost, encompassing materials, labor, and overhead. Once you've considered all of these factors, you can calculate your total project cost by adding up your material costs, labor costs, overhead costs, and profit. This will give you a baseline price for your work. Review your price carefully to ensure that it's competitive and realistic. Consider what other contractors in your area are charging for similar projects. You may need to adjust your price to remain competitive while still ensuring that you're making a fair profit. Remember to add a buffer or contingency to your price to cover any unexpected costs or changes that may arise during the remodel. A buffer of 5% to 10% of your total project cost is a common practice. Be prepared to explain your pricing to your clients. Be transparent about your costs and explain how you arrived at your final price. Clients appreciate honesty and transparency, and this can help build trust and strengthen your relationships. Document your pricing carefully. Keep a record of all your costs, calculations, and assumptions. This will help you track your profitability and identify areas where you can improve your pricing in the future. Regularly review your pricing to ensure that it remains competitive and profitable. Market conditions change, and you may need to adjust your prices to reflect changes in material costs, labor rates, or overhead expenses. Don't be afraid to raise your prices if necessary. As your experience and expertise grow, your services become more valuable. Don't undervalue your work. There are several strategies you can employ to refine your pricing. Firstly, track your costs meticulously. The more accurately you track your costs, the better you'll be able to estimate future projects. Secondly, seek feedback from clients. Ask your clients for feedback on your pricing and service. This feedback can help you identify areas where you can improve. Thirdly, analyze your competitors. Research what your competitors are charging for similar projects. This will give you a sense of the market rate and help you price your work competitively. Fourthly, consider value pricing. Instead of simply pricing your work based on your costs, consider the value that you're providing to your clients. If you're providing a unique or specialized service, you may be able to charge a premium price. Pricing strategies can vary widely. Some contractors prefer to use a cost-plus pricing model, where they add a markup to their total costs. Others prefer to use a value-based pricing model, where they price their work based on the value that they are providing to their clients. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to pricing, so it's important to experiment and find a strategy that works best for you. Common mistakes to avoid include underestimating your costs. Be realistic about the time and materials required for each project. Overlooking overhead expenses is another pitfall. Don't forget to factor in all of your overhead costs such as rent, utilities, and insurance. Failing to factor in a profit margin is another mistake to steer clear of. Ensure that you're making enough profit to cover your expenses and compensate you for your time and effort. Not accounting for unexpected costs can be detrimental. Always add a buffer or contingency to your price to cover any unexpected costs or changes that may arise during the project. When you are presenting your price to clients, be prepared to justify your price and explain how you arrived at your final number. Focus on the value that you're providing and the benefits that your clients will receive. Be confident in your pricing and avoid apologizing for your prices. If you're providing a high-quality service, your prices should reflect that. Negotiating with clients can be a part of the pricing process. Be prepared to negotiate with clients, but don't be afraid to walk away if you're not comfortable with the final price. Know your bottom line and don't go below it. There are a variety of tools and resources available to help you with pricing, including software. There are many software programs available that can help you estimate costs, track expenses, and generate invoices. Industry associations also offer resources such as trade associations that often provide pricing guides and other resources to help contractors price their work effectively. Mentors can also be helpful. Consider seeking advice from experienced contractors or business mentors who can provide guidance and support. Remember that pricing is an ongoing process. Regularly review your pricing and make adjustments as needed to ensure that you are remaining competitive and profitable. The following example illustrates these principles. Imagine a 1,200 square foot kitchen remodel in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's break down the estimated costs. Firstly, material costs is determined using a resource like the Means Book, which estimates materials at $2.12 per square foot, resulting in $25.44 for materials. Secondly, labor costs, for example, 40 hours at $50 per hour, totaling $2,000. Thirdly, overhead costs, estimated at 20% of labor costs, resulting in $400. Fourthly, profit, let's say 15% of total costs, which is the sum of materials, labor and overhead, so 15% of $4,944, which equals $741.60. Lastly, at a contingency of 5% of the total cost, which is $4,944, coming to $247.20. Add up the material cost, labor cost, overhead, profit, and contingency, you get $5,932.80. Now you have an estimated price for the remodel. Keep in mind these are hypothetical numbers. These steps and cost percentages would require careful thought and consideration. This final number should be refined based on specifics of the project. Also, consider local market rates to make sure the pricing aligns with current market conditions. Pricing your work accurately is essential for the success of your business. By considering all of the relevant factors and using the right tools and resources, you can ensure that you're pricing your work fairly and profitably.